Episode 316, Fukuoka Musings. This is the Change Underground. I'm your host, John Moore. Decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. The search for a Fukuoka-friendly rotation suitable for a cool temperate climate, with a bit of climate change variations thrown in, continues. On top of this search is the refinement of minimal processing of any seeds. Spelt grew well, as do oats, but both require hull removal, and on a small scale that can be problematic, depending on your tools. Apart from the need for some sort of mechanical process, energy is also required. 100% spelt flour makes a tasty of somewhat different sort of bread. One advantage of spelt is it can be planted in either spring or winter as a spring or winter grain, irrespective of the variety. Wheat does not require dehulling but must be planted as either winter or spring. On the whole, the need for planting time-specific varieties far outweighs the need for mechanical dehulling, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going with the winter wheat option. That being said, I began baking experiments with 100% wholemeal wheat flour. And as I say, and I might say, to blow my own trumpet just a little, it's damn good bread. I'm looking forward to seeing if our low-carbon soil produces a differently flavoured bread from the shop-bought flour, but that's a task for the future. I listened to a regenerative podcast episode last week that went on for over an hour. Most of it covered what we've discussed here in the past, but one sentence made the listening worthwhile. There's a feature of buckwheat I'd seen but not really fully observed. That is, the effect hadn't come to the forefront of my consciousness until I heard it from someone else. Buckwheat has an allelopathic effect. That is, it exudes compounds that make life difficult for other plants to grow around it. This, when thinking back to the buckwheat crops I've grown, became obvious. However, this grower had successfully sown and grown winter wheat into his buckwheat. Bonus of this is the phosphorus gathering tendencies of buckwheat and its frost sensitivity. That means more nutrients are available for the next crop, winter wheat in this case, and removal of the buckwheat is handled by the frosts of autumn-winter. In my situation, buckwheat should run to seed before the frost kill, so the seeds should re-sprout in the spring, where they run through a few cycles of growth before the wheat goes back in the following autumn. I'm thinking an oversown third crop before the wheat is ready for harvest and to smother the ground before the buckwheat germinates would benefit the system, the soil, and of course the output. At this stage, I'm thinking a bush pea, so the massive variety would do the job. Big enough to cover the ground between the wheat, but small enough not to interfere greatly with the wheat harvest. And a still sufficiently large harvest over any sprouting buckwheat in midsummer. At the right moments, I can run the ducks across the paddocks for a few days. Observations will determine how long. To add a little manure, pick off any snail slugs, and prepare the paddock for the straw from the wheat or the peas, depending on the point in this cycle. The wheat and the peas will separate through threshing, and that can be done by hand. But the buckwheat is a whole seed, and this probably explains why buckwheat in some parts of Eastern Europe is called black wheat. Given that the ducks will probably be the species eating the buckwheat, not humans, I don't think it will be a problem that it needs to be dehulled. Again, reading and time will tell. Now, a little follow-up from last week from the ABC website. Residents of Wyanbene struggling to access supplies, medicine, due to regularly high floodwaters. Quote, Wyanbene is an area located about 105 k's southeast of Canberra, with a population of about 100. Surrounded by a national park, a small causeway over the Shoalhaven River is the only way in and out of the area. We have one way in, one way out, whether it's fire, flood, whatever, only one way, said resident Julie Brown. With 3 consecutive La Nina events causing constant rain, residents have recently found themselves stuck for weeks at a time. We have flooded 11 times this year, Helen Stigg, another resident, said, end quote. And watching the 3-month forecast from the Bureau of Meteorology this afternoon, there's likely to be more rain in the coming summer. Now, these are the communities that are mirroring the far worse situation in the Pacific Islands, where even high tides are flooding gardens, cemeteries and villages, which isn't good. And they're talking about relocating whole countries. There is, though, some good news. Also from the ABC. Rural properties going off-grid with renewables for energy security and to reduce costs. Quote, many properties in remote parts of the country have long been off-grid, often because they are too remote to connect to town power and rely on diesel generators. But there are a growing number of relatively new farms in semi-urban or peri-urban areas that are off-grid despite the availability of mains power. The Queensland Farmers Federation said more of its members were considering such a move, with reasons ranging from wanting to be independent to saving money or reducing on-farm emissions, or maybe all three. I've added that bit. The grid has genuine competition now with solar, battery and diesel generators for farmers to be able to supply their own power, or at least a large proportion of their own power, Queensland Farmers Federation Energy Project Manager Andrew Chamberlain said, end quote. The price signals, as well as real price movements, are driving more people to jump off the grid. This reduces the need for the last coal-fired and some gas-fired power plants. And as reported last week, the green hydrogen operations being set up in Western Australia will act as examples for other states, both within the Commonwealth and around the world, for zero carbon electricity production. All this is doable. The big picture renewables and the local food producers sequestering carbon in soils to grow more with no or very few inputs together will ensure a future worth leaving our grandchildren. Just pause for a moment and contemplate the soundscape changes the move to electric passenger vehicles and hydrogen fuel cell heavy vehicles will have on our cities. Remember the quiet during the lockdowns? Remember the birdsong? We really do have a chance to build a better world. There are issues, I'll not deny that. Cobalt is a key metal in the electrification of economies, and most of that, about 95%, I believe, of the known reserves, are in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which has appalling road systems, political violence, and a history of brutal colonialism, dictatorships, and corruption. Mind you, many of the oil-producing nations have all those issues except maybe the roads being a problem. There are ways to ensure the benefits of this resource benefits the people of the DRC, and we know what to do. The question is, will we do it? Change Underground Academy No-Dig Gardening course is still available, link in the show notes. Please tell your friends, decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. Thank you all for listening. I'll be back, all things being equal, next week. This episode, written, edited, produced and published by JM Podcasting Services. Link in the show notes.